Namaste Yogis. Welcome to part 3 of our 3-level series on relieving our low back pain. So just as a reminder, as I say at the beginning of all these videos, this is meant to build over time an entire yoga therapy sequence to relieve the low back. So if you haven't started at level 1, make sure you go back, review level 1, practice those exercises, practice level 2 exercises, and only when those become more accessible and easier for you to accomplish, then move on to add in the next layer, which is right now layer 3 or level 3. So we're going to take 3 more moves, and I've asked Christine to come join us again today to help show what these moves are. Okay, so ready for the first move of this series. If you notice in level 2, we did the regular bridges. If you're graduating on to level 3, what you can do is throw out the regular bridges now in exchange for this next level called the one-legged bridge or the single-legged bridge. So we set up similar to before, where we're going to bend both knees, bring the soles of the feet to the floor. Want to be mindful that these second toes are pointed straight forward, so Christine's done a good job of aligning her feet properly here. And when you lift the hips up, remember that you want the knee stacked just above the ankle. So for this next variation, where we're kind of taking it up a notch to build the strength, you're going to take one leg, so we'll start with this right leg and extend it forward. Now what's going to happen is your leg's going to want to shift up, or it's going to want to shift down, and what you want is for it to be right in line with the other knee. So you want these knees to stay just in line with one another, still with a space in between, but never coming up or coming too far down. Now this seems easy, but as you start to move the hips, you'll see that it's a little bit challenging. So go ahead and lower this foot, lower it down all the way, bend the knee, and we'll come to the other side. So let's show the movement in its entirety. First, she's going to align her hands alongside the body, rooting the palms down to the floor. This is just going to help with your stability. As you build more strength in this movement, you can start to move the arms up and down dynamically, which we'll show in a moment. So for now, keeping palms rooted to help with your stability, making sure the chin is tucked slightly to the chest so that the neck is long. Now extend this leg forward, and I'll come here. So you want to make sure the toes are pointed, so that you've got a long line of energy from the low rib all the way down the front of the leg through the top of the foot. That extension is important here. On an inhalation, you're going to press into the grounded foot, into the hands, and lift your hips. Try to keep, see how her knee wants to lift? You're going to try to keep that knee in line with the other. Now, if you can see your kneecap, you're not up high enough. Yeah, good adjustment, Christine. Now exhale, bring the tailbone forward as you lower down vertebrae by vertebrae. Keep reaching out through the foot and leave the knee in line with the other. So a lot easier when I'm holding the foot. I'm going to let it go and go ahead and try it on your own. Inhale, lifting up. Yep, keep that knee in line. Yes, and exhale, lowering down. When this starts to become easy for you, you can start to lift the hands up with the hips. So on an inhalation, lifting hips and hands overhead, back of the hands touch the floor behind you, lift up higher, higher, higher. And on the exhale, slowly lowering the hands, lowering the hips. And again, keeping those knees just in line with one another. Go ahead and bend the leg, take a rest. Woo! What you want to do is make sure that you're getting at least 10 on each side. If it's too much at first, if it's too difficult, then maybe take multiple sets to reach your 10 repetitions. So maybe you take 5 on each side twice, right? So ultimately working up to be able to take 10 on each side without a break. Let's move on to the second exercise. Now let's take the third exercise, which is going to be some type of lateral stretch here. You're going to start with slower movements until you get more familiar with the alignment, and then you can start to take them more rapidly. So let's see how it looks. First, you're going to take a double hip width apart. So come to hip width stance and then double. So hip width and then double. Perfect. So it's not quite that wide-legged stance, right? It's just double hip width. Now, what's important here is where the palm of the hand goes, because you're actually pressing in to the IT band as you do the stretch. So the hand is not going to come up here to the hip bone. Her hand is actually going to be fingertips pointed down and coming to where her bone enters the hip socket. So you can feel that crease on yourself and find where the IT band begins and press that space. Got it? All right. So this is this hand placement. Now, she's going to take the other hand alongside the ears, fingers facing towards the floor, and find a lateral stretch. As she roots through the right heel, she's going to extend the line of energy all the way from the heel, up the leg, through the side body, focusing on opening the heart forward, pinky towards the floor to get that rotation, and then inhaling to come up, and exhaling to switch sides. So pressing the hand into the IT band and reaching through that rotated pinky. So rooting through heel, lifting all the way up. Over time, you can start to take this more quickly, moving faster than the breath. So Christine is showing a nice, slow, gentle way. I suggest you start this way until the alignment becomes easier and more natural for you. And when you start to take them more quickly, I will show you what that can look like. So, excuse me. We're going to come here, and as you start to take them more quickly, again, finding that placement. So the heel of the hand is kind of wedged in that hip crease, and you take it a little more quickly. Right? But you don't want to go there until you are really familiar with the move. So I would at least do that sequence a few times over a few days before moving on to the quicker pace. Without the proper alignment, it can do more damage than it can do good. So very important that you are mindful of this alignment. Now let's move on to the final exercise. For our third exercise, we're going to take a series of dynamic twisting. But we really want to be mindful of using our core strength to do the twist. So, first things first, we're actually going to take the hands and rotate them towards the floor. So normally we do our twist with palms up to keep shoulders open, but in this particular case, we want the stability of the palms on the floor to help ground us down. Throughout this movement, you want to really be hyper aware of the shoulder blades pressing into the floor the entire time. If you find that a shoulder blade is lifting off the floor, you've taken the twist a little bit too far. So this is not meant necessarily to bring the knees flat to the floor, right? You just explore the edge of your body, and how can you tell where the edge is? Well, when the shoulder blade starts to lift, you've gone past the edge. So first things first, we want to use a block. If you don't have a block at home, you could use like a pillow or a book, really anything that's hard and about 2 or 3 inches thick. You want to take the block or book or whatever you got, place it between the thighs. This is going to help keep the core muscles active. So remember, as I mentioned before, sometimes if we don't have enough strength in the core, we'll start to pull the strength from other muscles. Using this block is going to help you prevent that. So now, Christine, I'm going to have you take your knees up to be hovered just above the hips. So we don't want the knees to come all the way into the chest. That's not what we're looking for. You want the knees away from the body, 90 degrees. Now, we're even going to pay attention to the ankles and bring the ankles in line with the knees. So she can even flex her feet here to help activate the knees. And now we've got a really strong stance. So she's squeezing the block with her thighs and she's pressing out through the ankles. On an inhalation, lengthening through the spine, want to make sure that chin is coming towards the chest, long in the spine. Exhale, use the strength of the belly to bring the knees over towards the right. Now, she's going to keep her shoulder blades rooted. The moment they start to come up, right here is your edge. You're going to inhale, bring the knees back to center. And on an exhalation, she can lower them towards the other side. And we see the shoulder blade lifting, so she's gone past her edge. Time to inhale, take it back up. And let's just show one more time. You want to take this move at least 5 times to each side, working your way up to 10 times each side, which would be, I guess, 20 twists. This is the third and final move of level 3, and we'll move on. Once these moves become easy for you, and there's no strain whatsoever in combinations with level 1 and 2, then it'll be time to add on level 4, which will be the next video. You can check it out when your body is ready. So enjoy these moves. Hopefully they're helping you open, strengthen, and improve the quality of your low back pain. Namaste, yogis.